What's up, Blade Breakers? We're back, and this one we're going to be ranking all the Beyblade protagonists and main characters. Very excited for this one, and this is going to be great. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'll try to keep it under 30 minutes. We are going to include Zero in here. I know some of you guys are probably not very excited about that, but I'm going to include him just for the fun of it. And there also are some people in here that you probably are like, wait, like Kenta is a protagonist? No. Kind of just to illustrate my points that I'm making here, there are some characters like Kenta who serve a similar interest to that protagonist role, what you would call either the deuteragonist or something like that, which is equivalent to like Kyoya or Kai from the Metal Saga and then from the original generation. So I think we are going to I don't know. We're gonna start off with Bell. And then we'll also talk about why there's an F tier. So Bell is C tier. B is probably that average protagonist, right? And keep in mind, this is more from a writing standpoint. Personally, I do have characters I really, really like on here who are just not it. You know, they're just not going to be up that high. And Bell is one of those who his character is decently well written, but you're going to see him really low on this tier list because he is not um, well written in the sense that you're comparing him to these other characters. A lot of these characters, if I place them lower, it's from a purely writing standpoint, maybe a little bit because they're annoying, like you'll see with somebody over here, but also in the context of Beyblade. So if I have two S tier characters that are main characters, the main protagonist, the main character of Beyblade, and they're both an S tier, then if Bell doesn't measure up, he automatically goes a tier down. And so it's not necessarily that Bell is supposed to be in C tier, but that I don't really like him that much. And I might move him down to F. I'm not sure. F tier, honestly, it's the same as D tier, C tier, E tier. I want a lowest tier, and I felt like D was kind of weird, and so was E, so I took them both out just for simplicity's sake. Now, I think I'm going to go with Dante next. Dante is a B tier protagonist. I don't really like what they did with his little, oh, I'm super intense and he gets this red face and he gets all weird. I really, really hate that. Honestly, Dante is a average, decent protagonist, but then you see his, nervous side or whatever come out, and I really hated it. It was very, very poorly done, in my opinion. I thought it was kind of interesting at first because I was like, oh, it's so funny. He's kind of like how Volt freezes up on stage. And then after that, I was kind of like, dude, this is kind of getting annoying. His rivalry with, um, I'm I'm sorry, Delta, right, which is an odd name. His rivalry with Delta was kind of meh. I didn't really like that too much. I know a lot of you guys are thinking, oh wow, you're hating on Beyblade. That's why, right there. This is exactly why. I know you guys can tell the profile pic, right? Tyson is phenomenal. He is the best MC in the entire Beyblade franchise. I've heard that Bird or Robin is probably not that good. I'm assuming he's going to be that B to A tier protagonist. Tyson, he loses right away. He grows battle to battle to battle. He's always practicing, and they're not afraid to have him struggle against an opponent or struggle with himself. And it really, really shows in those 3 seasons, right? So for those of you that are like, okay, why are you hating on Dante and Bell? The truth is they simply don't have enough time when it comes to Beyblade. I think only 1 season is what makes them struggle, and that's where you see Hikaru come in. Um, Hikaru is insane as a protagonist, but he's very limited because of Huga and because of the dual protagonist is very difficult to write. And so you are going to have readers or even listeners or people that watch the show. They're going to go, okay, I like Hikaru, I don't like Huga. I like Huga, I don't like Hikaru. And so the goal is to split the protagonist into two main characteristics so that you get a wider audience when it comes to identifying with that protagonist. And so that's what brings him down to A tier, in my opinion. And honestly, we'll just go right through here. Where is, okay, we got Ray, Kai, and am I missing? No, that's everybody. Okay, so for the main OG cast, I know a lot of you guys are like, okay, why is Max down below? The reason he's one tier lower than these other guys with Ray, Kai, and Tyson is because I feel like they give him too many L's. He's always the character from the team that's losing, or the arc where they are facing the US team and he just gets styled on completely over and over and over again. He should have won against Galzi, so when they face the Asian team, that should have been a battle that he won. I mean, realistically, you look at it and it's like, that's odd. Why did Max not win against his opponent? Like, he should have won. I mean, sure, Galzi tore the stadium up or whatever, but honestly, he has such potential, and I feel like it was kind of one of those instances where he has to lose, right? Max has to lose because they have to have somebody lose in order for the Blade Breakers to struggle. And I felt like it was always Max. I know that, yeah, Ray lost his bit beast and Kai turned evil, but I feel like out of all three, all three seasons, I mean, Max is the one that is constantly just down the barrel of the gun, getting stomped on, and it sucks. It really sucks. I love Max as a character. I really identify with him, but he's just not S tier worthy because they just give him too many L's. You're going to look here and you're going to say, all right, so if Hikaru is up by Max, then that must mean you don't really like the rest of Beyblade Burst, and that's not really true because I know that the dual protagonist is kind of specific, and some of you guys are probably like, okay, there's no way you're going to have anybody in that upper tier for Beyblade Burst, and that's where Iger comes in, man. Iger's phenomenal. I thought it was one of the best written protagonists in Beyblade Burst, and he only had one season, and they really, really went deep with his dark streak. Now, Dark Iger is phenomenal. I felt like it mixed Kai and Tyson, when Kai goes for Black Dronzer and when Tyson, he's down in the dumps or something like that. It really mixed those two together, and that's what makes Iger one of my favorite Beyblade. He is my favorite Beyblade Burst protagonist. He's so well written, and like I was mentioning Dante, right? He has this nervous streak, and he has almost a mix of Volt's nervousness and Dante's nervousness, right? His anxiety or whatever you want to call it. And it comes out really well. And he also manages it very well. He has a lot of character development. He is not necessarily a prodigy. He gets his ego checked later into the season. Really, there's only a few downsides to Iger, and if you compare him to the other Beyblade Burst protagonists, he is the only one that is really written in a way that kind of mirrors the original generation. And the original generation, you guys, please watch it. I know the anime sucks. Like, it's not Demon Slayer or what's the other anime? Jujutsu Kaisen, I think, that just have beautiful animation where all the colors are super vibrant and the faces have such good expressions. Beyblade, the OG generation, Vault and Shu, does not have that. But please watch it. It's insane. Yes, it's bad animation. Then you go into V-Force and people are like, why are the outfits so weird? But if you can actually look at it for what it is, maybe even just like close your eyes when the non crazy stuff is happening, or just look at it from a perspective of, oh, that would be so cool, even if it was just Metal Fights generation of anime. If they had that for them, it would be the best generation by far. I know a lot of people like Burst, but that's because they probably grew up in Burst. I'm just gonna tell you guys that right now. Um, and luckily, I'm old enough to have grown up in a little bit of both because I played outside, play soccer all the time when the original Beyblade was out, and I would kind of get bits and pieces. I'd watch it when it was on if I was inside, and then I really didn't start getting into Beyblade until the original generation was in Revolution, and then you started having Metal Fight Saga. And then really Metal Masters was really, really good. Metal Fury was really good. So I kind of got a little bit of both, right? Because I didn't really get into Beyblade until the old generation was ending and we were starting a new generation. And I got to be excited about a new generation that was metal. So I felt, for me, it was like, oh, HMS and then Metal Fight. It felt seamless for the most part. And you can still see the Bit Beasts in all of these characters, and even in Beyblade X, the Bit Beasts are still there, which I think is really cool. Even though they may not call them Bit Beasts, they are Bit Beasts. Don't let anybody tell you differently. You got a bit, then a bit chip, and when you spin, the bit chip moves that picture, and so inside the bit chip is the Bit Beast, and they just don't call them that, which just kind of sucks. But then again, some of you guys are probably wondering why we have so many side characters, and honestly, I felt like my critiques of the main character can best be summarized by the side characters. And that's what we're going to kind of get into now. Obviously, on a technicality, the three we have right here, right? Max, Kai, and Ray, they're not technically side characters because the team aspect is always there throughout the original Beyblade. Even if the team is split up, it's always mentioned. They're always connected to each other. It's very different from the Metal Saga, right? I'm just going to set him there. I'm not actually putting him there, but Jenga, he doesn't team up with anybody really until Metal Masters, and then that's it. Like, they have one tournament arc, but with the original generation, you have way more team ups. They actually feel like a team throughout the whole season. You're like, whoa, they're gonna fight each other, but then with Metal Saga, they switch that. It's like they're fighting each other, and then it's like, oh, they're teaming up, but they hate each other. Originally, that kind of thing. So I think we are going to go ahead and rank Jenga. Actually, after that was weird. I don't know why I did that. Hang on. Oh wow! So it put them all like. Hold up, you guys. Hold up. That was weird. I just don't like the way it was organized. We're gonna rank Zero. He's so bad, dude. He is so bad. I hate Zero. He's everything wrong with Beyblade, the new generation. He was only one season, less episodes than even Iger, right? Iger got 50, Zero got 20. And they did that whole, oh, it's a sequel and it's immediately after your first guy, but he's not really in it. And we're going to bring back characters for nostalgia, right? It's terrible. It's exactly what Boruto is. And I hate Boruto as well, just for any of you guys wondering. Naruto never had a sequel, in my opinion. Zero's F tier. Really, he is. He's very poorly written. He has almost no motivation. He does what I want characters to do, right? I want Beyblade bladers to practice, but he just like, it's like practice, practice, battle, practice, 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 battle, practice, 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 battle, battle, practice. And it's really dry and there's no character. And I don't have anybody from Zero G here. Oh, you know what? I actually should have somebody here. Let me pause and go grab my Zero G character real quick. Okay, sorry you guys. He didn't make it into the files until just now. Sakio is insane. A lot of people are probably going to think, why is he not the antagonist? Why is he even in this list? He's what you would call the deuteragonist. He's that rival character or the buddy character. It's made very clear within a couple episodes that Sakio has no interest in battling Zero. He basically beats him and that's it. and then they introduce a new villain, which obviously writing flaws throughout that whole sentence I just said. But Sakio is really well written. Um, the way he says Dragoon is insane. I don't even know if I did that right. It's making me laugh right now. I love the way he says it. Obviously, nothing tops Tyson's Dragoon, but the way he says it is pretty decent. I really like it. I'd say he's actually, you know what? He's an A. I really love him as a character. And the first thing he loses, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be another Ryuga situation or whatever, or it's gonna be a Louis situation from Burst. That's not what happens. He immediately recognizes this is where I was wrong. This is where I have to grow, and he immediately leaves to train and get better at that aspect of his blading, and that's insane. And Zero does none of that. He is absolutely foolish. He has to be reminded what Blader's spirit is, right? Like Jenga shows up and he's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And Zero's like, "Oh, I don't know." And dude, I hate Zero. Flame Zero all you want. Like, really, don't even care. There's only one character that kind of comes where that Zero is, and we'll get to him in a second. Um, Jenga is average, okay? I really like how they introduced him. He's very strong. He's a very good blader, and he has faults, and he he loses on the first series, and honestly, it just gets downhill after that. I think if you just had Metal Fight Jenga, insanely good character. The problem is he goes downhill really quickly, and it sucks. I like Jenga, and then he doesn't practice, and then he only loses twice, and it's kind of weird because I like that he's very good at Beyblade. It's something you don't actually have with any of these protagonists, except for I guess Bell had a little bit of it when he first started. He was beating people left and right, but that comes into my main flaw with Beyblade Burst, and that is that they fail on the protagonist. Okay, Volt is, like if I had another tier here, that's where he'd be. He'd be like top of F, bottom of C. He's terrible, you guys. I don't want to go on a rant. We'll make another video talking about it. But Volt is the worst Beyblade protagonist besides Zero and close to Bell. Like, those three are just really bad. Um, Volt is shown to be like this natural blader who's connected to his bit beast. You see Valtryek or Valkyrie or whatever you want to call it. Valtryek pushes the launcher down with his sword, and you think, oh wow, he's going to be this blader who's led by his bit beast and is connected to his bay more than anybody else is, and he's going to be a natural. And then, on the finale, he fights Louis 4 or 5 times in a row, over and over and over and over again, and he loses and he loses and he loses. And I hated that. And that's why Shu, in my opinion, is a better protagonist than Volt. He should have been the Beyblade protagonist. He's incredible. He's so well written. He practices and practices. And when I said Zero practices all the time and they didn't get it right, it's because they needed the Shu treatment, right? They should have had him behave more like Shu and be written more like Shu. Obviously, Shu comes after Zero, so they couldn't, technically, they couldn't do that. But they wrote Shu way better than they wrote Zero, way better than they wrote Volt. And he should have been the one to battle Louis in the final battle. Once Volt lost 2 or 3 times or whatever, he shouldn't have kept going. He should have been like, you know what? Send everybody else out there if I can't beat this guy or something. I really think they could have dug into that team aspect. You have Wakia, who is sitting and making fun of Volt for his leadership, and then he starts trashing Rantaro, and Volt doesn't say anything. He doesn't stand up for himself or his friends. And then he goes out there and loses, and he doesn't learn. And then he gets all these new launches, but it doesn't matter. Oh, dude. Oh, my gosh. He is somewhat connected to his Bey, but not in the way that any of the future protagonists of Beyblade are. And before you say anything, the first 3 seasons of Volt, I don't like. Once you get into Iger, once you get into Hikaru, and we meet Free, these characters really elevate Volt, but he's not the protagonist of the series anymore. He's not the main character when Iger is blading. He's not the main character when Dante is blading. So for me to be like, okay, well, in Iger, Dante, the Hikaru and Huga, right? Bell, Volt is present, but he's not the main protagonist. So to count that, I don't count that. I only count Volt in his first 3 seasons when he truly is the main character. And I think Free is a very good example of why Volt doesn't work. Free is insanely skilled. He shows up and he is strong. You actually feel that he is a threat, but his character is well written and he is supposed to help Volt grow. And I feel like it sort of happens and it sort of doesn't. And I wish they would have done more with Free. I'm gonna make a video on all the side characters, probably of each generation, even if I just go all of Burst or something like that. Um, I really think that it's an opportunity to grow the main character, but you find that somebody like Free is so well written. If if Volt is badly written, he's Free just sucks. And so you run into the situation where you find Volt is bad and Free elevates him, but it doesn't work. And then the same thing could be said for Jenga, except Kyoya actually works well. And so Kyoya's S for the way he's written and my opinion of him as a person. And I think honestly, Free is up there and Shu is up there. Um, Shoot, dude. Oh man. Oh man. Try not to put everybody in S tier, okay? I really A and S are pretty close to the same. If anything, you go like this, right? Maybe something like that, or you bring Shu up, or you bring Max up. It's a tough one. I'm gonna kind of organize this a little. Since this isn't really Iger, we'll keep that there. Um, Shu's really cool. Free's really cool. I think the side characters in Burst are actually decently well written, especially from a point of growing the main character and creating a team around them. When Volt joins BC Soul, I don't hate it, Um, I don't hate Volt, but when you compare him to every other Beyblade protagonist, he falls flat, man. He's terrible. Um, he is not what I want him to be, and I wish they would have made him more like Free. I think a protagonist like Free would have been insane, because here's the thing, you guys. Every Beyblade protagonist, except for maybe Bird or Robin or whatever they're going to call him, is always a loudmouth attack style Bay, and he loves to eat and blah blah blah. Like, it's very cookie cutter, and that's one of the reasons the first few episodes with Jenga are really insane, and that's one of the reasons that I like Free, is that silent strong blader who just comes in and wins, and you're like, holy crap, that's what Beyblade is supposed to be. If you're good at Beyblade, that's what you should be. And you see Volt and he grows and he grows and he grows, and then there's basically only Louis, but he doesn't actually grow as a character. He has some increase in skill somewhat, but it doesn't really go anywhere until you reach like the 3rd season or areas where Iger is the main character, and it really really sucks. um Really, now we're just going to talk about one more character. Yeah, I have time. um as brothers, I actually think that the pair is well written. The only problem is I don't like the archetype of Huga, where he doesn't actually grow and learn, because Huga, he how do I say this? He doesn't actually really change. He basically is like, "Oh, I'm going to do my own thing." And then at the end of the season, he still does his own thing, and he's supposed it's like, "Oh, be who you really are," or something like that. And I really really hated that, because Hikaru grows and Huga doesn't, and it's infuriating, because they're brothers and they were supposed to be very similar. And it would be different if he goes, I'm going to be the same blader I used to be, but I'm going to add this in and I'm going to recognize my strengths and my weaknesses. But he doesn't do that. He just runs headfirst in. He's always stupid. He doesn't strategize. And the dichotomy of the two brothers, it's really tricky to write because you always isolate one of the brothers where the reader or the person that's watching does not identify with that character. And I think that younger people that are watching will identify with Huga, and older people are going to identify with Hikaru. Um, and that's kind of where I sit. I like the brothers as a duo, but I think that, especially for older audiences, like my content is, Huga's just not there. He is not a very good protagonist, and he really falls in that same trap as Vault, where he doesn't change, he doesn't grow. Um, I really expected a lot from Vault. I thought they were going to connect him to Valkyrie, to Valtryek, whichever you want to call it. I really, really thought they were going to make it this, oh, he's connecting with his bit beast and it makes him special. And, Valtryek tells him what to do or something, or he's like, I believe in you. Similar to what they do with Iger. Um, they kind of hint at it, I will say. They're like, oh, why are you, like Shu goes, why are you talking to your base so much? Maybe I'll try that. And then they rip off both of them in the final battle where they let Louis win from flukes. Like Shu's bay is damaged, so Louis wins, and Volt hits a part of the stadium that he broke apart, so Louis wins, and I hated that. Very disappointing end to the series. The last 15 to 10 episodes, whatever, of Beyblade Burst first season are terrible. It goes up when he goes to BC Soul. So, okay, honestly, you guys, the reason I was looking at the time, I need to spend at least an hour on my man Kenta, and I can't. So I might make a Kenta rant video. He's the worst. I'm going to do it. He's the worst fucking character there is. I'm so sorry, you guys. He's terrible. He's meant to be the character that's dumb so that you can introduce concepts of the world that you're in. So when you see Jenga, that's why Jenga's so good. If you look at Tyson, a lot of the times Tyson will be like, oh, what? I didn't know that, or something. And that's how you learn about the world of Beyblade. And the same goes for literally every other Beyblade protagonist except Jenga. And so that's why Jenga gets lowered a bit, is because they switched and they had Madoka and Kenta so that you can introduce concepts and different blades and different bladers and their strengths. And, oh, this is why this Beyblader is hard for Jenga to beat. This is why he's having a hard time with Pisces, is because he's changing the airflow around him and blah, blah, blah. And I hate Kenta for it. And then you have him impersonate Jenga, and he beats Hikaru. Like, there's no way this guy's beating Hikaru. There's no flipping way ever at all. And then she retires later, and I'm like, dude, oh, I don't want to talk for an hour. How much time do I have? All right, we're gonna end it there, you guys. Screw Kenta. All my boys hate Kenta. That's the way it is. Zero's garbage. Bell and Volt are very bad protagonists. And then you get into, your average. I don't think they're that good, but a lot of people like them. They have their moments. They're decent in some situations. That's where you hit Jenga, Dante, and Huga. So I think that's where we're going to leave it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Look out for an unboxing. It's going to be super awesome. Very excited to show you guys that. So we'll see ya in the next one.